Hello and welcome to the Neale Bailey Rides YouTube set. He's Dave Collier.
And you're Neale Bailey, episode 4.
We couldn't be here without you guys. And of course, your mother's sandwiches.
Yeah, mom's sandwiches.
I think I made it, right?
Yeah.
So this is a bit of an epic. I mean, 4 episodes.
And a good one. Like, this is going to be a really awesome one.
So, as you can probably see, we have a absolutely beautiful vintage bike. So, lead us in here, Dave. What do we got today?
Well, it looks like a very special, totally squared away version of a BSA, a 1967 BSA to be specific, and it's just gorgeous.
And that is not the Boy Scouts of America, Basil.
No, do not confuse it with the Boy Scouts of America. It stands for British Cycles of America. What does BSA stand for, Neale?
Can't tell you that. We're gonna have to wait for the owner. I actually was born in the town that it stands for, but he'll tell us that. So that's going to be a great segment. Bill Stevens coming in.
Yep.
Super passionate, super enthusiastic guy. Had this bike since 2003. It's even been to Wales to get worked on.
Yeah, it's been across the pond like 4 times, I think he said.
Between coming here, going back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very cool history. It's nice.
Not often you get a vintage bike with frequent flyer miles, Basil.
Right? Yeah. That's a huge bonus.
It is.
So that's awesome. We also have a very healthy shameless plug for Continental Tire.
Yes. If you caught the last video where we actually went to Stones and picked up my R6, which is now all in one piece, it now has some very nice Continental tires.
Yeah. So we get to see the R6 in all its glory. Some new stickers going on, some custom stickers. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, that's going to come later.
Yeah.
And what of Nate?
Nate said he's on the way in, and so we'll put him in a closet with like a case of PBR and a honey badger and just get him all fired up.
Get him pissed.
Yeah, just get him proper pissed.
Right. Do you mean pissed?
Well, it's a 2 for 1. It means drunk to you, and it means angry to me.
Perfect.
So that'll be good.
Get off my lawn. That's going to work just right. And of course, you've got a little bit of news.
I have some news. Yep. With our newfound fame, we had something like 257,000 comments saying keep going with the safety.
No, they actually said put your trousers back.
Well, I've got my trousers are on, and I've been leading up to today with a bunch of laxatives and a health regimen. So no more discussion about superfluous things, just legit stuff like safety.
Are you going okay?
I'm feeling good.
Great.
I almost look as fit as you do.
Right. I think it's the shirt.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, so let's get rid of you.
Okay.
Let's bring in Bill, and we will go to our main event, the interview about the 1967 BSA.
Solid.
Okay, to the main event. So I'm sitting here with Bill Stevens and his 1967 BSA, and just for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure everybody does, BSA is
Birmingham Small Arms, Birmingham, England.
You've got something that you think is funny to say about that, right?
Oh, well, there's plenty to say about it. Some of which is funny and depends on who the audience
That was
is.
the plug for your shirt. Come
So the symbol for BSA is the 3 crossed rifles, and the saying is that they kill more people with their motorcycles than they did their rifles. But I'm still alive, so we're doing all right.
Anyway, Bill, thanks for coming to the set. I know that this motorcycle represents a very long and special personal journey for you.
Yeah, indeed.
And back in, around 1984, you would have been about, 22 years old. You had moved to New York from Virginia Beach, your home. You're a young man making your way in the world, and you see... Tell us what you saw that influenced you here.
Well, first, I think it warrants mention he's already made me about 3 years older than I am. So let's.
So he's not actually 73. He's still 70.
Anyway, yeah, mid late 80s. I'm 21 years old, and I'm a surfer. You know, in my entire life, I never looked twice at a motorcycle. But I used to like to lurk around the Lower East Side of New York City, CBGBs, the rock and roll bars, the punk bars. And I'd come around this one corner on the Lower East Side, and there was always a lineup of 3, 4, 5 motorcycles, and I didn't know what it was about them, but there was something about them. They had an honest look, a masculine look. They looked simple. You know, there wasn't day glow green or skulls or flames or dragons and all that stuff. And they were very appealing. And one night I came around the same corner with a buddy of mine, Jeff Hogan, and he sees me looking at him and he says, you know, what's up? And I said, I don't know. I said, there's something about these motorcycles. He says, those are vintage British motorcycles. I didn't know that was a thing. And it didn't hurt that there were a couple guys with, you know, rock and roll leather black jackets, and, you know, they had some World War II fighter goggles on their helmets. And of course, there's some lady with fishnet hose and black boots on. So the whole scene was just totally cool.
I didn't realize my mother had been to New York. Sorry.
I know you didn't mean that. Anyway, so that's where I learned that vintage British motorcycles were a thing. And I moved back to Virginia Beach. I found out there was a shop out on Virginia Beach Boulevard called Big Sid's Classic Cycles.
Oh, he was very famous for Vincent's, right?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. Yes, actually, he's quite well known. Well done. And, you know, he had Black Shadows, and he had a Comet. He had 1974 Ducati 750 Super Sports, Ariels, Matchless, BSA, Triumph, Norton, all the big names of the vintage British motorcycles. I knew nothing about it, but he had this old 68 BSA, what was it? It was a Firebird Scrambler, and it was in terrible condition, but it was the only thing I could afford, and it took me about 2 years to buy it from him, going in there with my tip money from being a waiter. But I bought my first BSA, and that would have been about 1990, 91.
Okay. So it wasn't until 03 so you'd had a BSA before you got this one.
Precisely,
And
I
this
did.
one actually came as a bit of a wreck from New Orleans, right?
Yeah, so once again, I'm always trying to do things on a budget, and I'm scouring eBay for a BSA, and this had been put together by an engineer and his son in New Orleans. And on paper, it's a Thunderbolt. It's a matching engine and frame BSA, 1967 BSA Thunderbolt. But beyond that, it's very non-original. What they did was they took a Spitfire, a 67 Spitfire, and a 67 Thunderbolt and put it together. So yes, your frame and your bottom end are all Thunderbolt, and the rest is all the hotted up BSA Spitfire.
So you would have had some fairly dull original chrome rims, and now you have these.
Yeah, so
Beautiful
BSA
ones.
put the higher compression. You know, they went from 49 to 55 horsepower.
I mean, that really made the difference,
I
right?
tell you, it really did. But so yeah.
So just diving in here with you, Bill, because I think we could spend a week on this bike. You have done a lot of personal upgrades with your friend Frank.
Yeah.
Who is, obviously he's the BSA whisperer. Tell us some of the things that you've done to make it reliable, because I know your quest this last 17 years has been to make it basically a daily driver.
Yeah.
Something that's totally reliable. You've modernized where needed. Yeah. So I mean, I've ridden with you. I mean, you start this thing 1 or 2 kicks, it's totally reliable. I mean, it's a beautiful bike. So start with the bottom end and work up, I think.
Well, that's a great question, and it warrants me backing up just a little bit, which is I have to tell you that with that original Firebird, I pushed it through as many intersections in the city of Virginia Beach as I ever rode it through. I couldn't let go of the right handle because it wouldn't idle. I mean, it broke my heart. I bled, I swore, I cursed, and I pushed it a great deal. And so
that was part of the reason that you wanted this to be the way it is. Right?
So after I got this, yes, I just so happened to pick up an issue of Classic Bike magazine that featured an engineer in Wales in the United Kingdom, in England, and he worked for an outfit called SRM Engineering, and he had a BSA Spitfire, and he described his approach as increasing reliability and performance and being faithful to its original style. And he described what he did. So I followed his lead, and so it's got a Bob Newby racing clutch and a belt drive primary in place of what used to be a triple chain that ran in oil.
So it's quieter, cleaner.
Much smoother too. And on the opposite side, the timing side of the crankshaft used to sit in a plane bush, which was fine until it went out of round, and then you could get oil starvation to the opposite connecting rod, and and then the engine would fail, and you had big trouble. So there's a fix called the needle roller bearing conversion. I had that done. The purists, absolutely set themselves on fire, but yes, I put the Mikuni carburetors on it. I got velocity stacks with some screens on them, just enough to keep the dead chickens and the bowling balls from being sucked into the engine. And high output oil pump, electronic ignition. So yes, what's so beautiful about it is putting all that together. It starts in 1 or 2 kicks. It idles beautifully, evenly. It shifts. It brakes relatively well for World War II technology drum brakes. But it's the bike that I dreamt about for 20 years. It took a long time and a lot of money. And what I love to do with it is to take it on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and it's a 50-year-old engine and a 55-year-old loose nut behind the handlebars, as our friend Nate likes to refer to us. And we do beautifully on the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's the perfect riding environment.
And we did get to have a really nice day riding in the country recently.
Yeah, indeed.
So you'll get to see some of that footage. I mean, there's some spectacular riding south of Charlotte. What I do like is I know that Frank Neale has done a lot of the work. I know you shipped it to Wales for a go-through because you've been very meticulous. But it does go to Nate these days for TLC, tune-ups.
Yep. I'll try not to take too long, but absolutely, I spent the first couple years of ownership throwing thousands of dollars at mechanics who promised me one more month until everything was right. And so finally, tired of losing money and not riding my motorcycle, I did build a crate and I shipped it to that SRM Engineering in England. So it went back across the Atlantic Ocean, had a complete rebuild, came back. But now, fortunately, I'm so very grateful, and I tell them every time I get a chance, I found Tutopia Cycles here in Charlotte. And I remember the first time I called them, I got their voicemail, and they said, we specialize in vintage European and Japanese motors. And I thought, perfect, they do oddball stuff, I wanted someone that was...
What did you call back to ask them if they did BSAs?
Well, yeah, absolutely. When they called me back, I said, now, can you work on weird stuff? And so, so I found Nate, who's the owner there, and he's a mechanical genius, he's an engineering genius, and maybe best of all, he's got wonderful personal integrity. He loves a challenge, he's a perfectionist, and... so for anything other than having its cases split, which I'm done with all that, that work's completed. Nate does all the tuning, any kind of yearly upgrade or
servicing.
Yeah, servicing, thank you, yeah. All that stuff, and I trust him perfectly, completely. So I'm so grateful I found Tutopia, yeah.
Well, and I think, that's so much about our show, our community in Charlotte. I had seen this BSA at Nate's, and I'd said to Nate, hey, who owns this? Because Bill actually has another BSA, I'm going to talk about it in a minute. And then, quite by chance, you're a cyclist, a bicyclist, I'm a bicyclist, I'm pedaling around in Charlotte, you go by on the BSA, and we connect, and now you're here. So it's just all part of our, this organic world of motorcycles. Nate works on your stuff, he works on my bikes. Yeah. So then here we are. I'm just super grateful to have you on the show, because this is, and I think you're 100% right. There are a lot of purists who would look at that bike and say, oh, it doesn't have to correct this and correct that. But I think you've built the bike for you.
For me, yeah.
It's a Bitzer, it's what you wanted, it's what you dreamed about. And we couldn't be more excited to have you on. We also couldn't be more excited. Bill has a 59.
Indeed.
That we have not seen yet. Yep. And hopefully, if you're still talking to us after this little event, we could convince you to bring that in and tell us the story of that.
Oh my God! I mean, come on, turn a camera on, and let me talk about my motorcycles. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. That was Bill Stevens with the '67 BSA BSA Thunderbird bottom end, Spitfire top end, and I guess we should see if we could drag Basil out the bathroom to do a bit of news.
Hello again. Welcome to episode 4 of the news. We had something like 200,000 comments on the last episode voicing some support for more safety. So I thought I'd dig into that a little bit more. We covered turn signals last time and the lack thereof. So let's dig in and see what else you can do to be safe on the road. It's a little hot in here, it's a little bright. Can I get a water? We have a intern or something. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. It's important to stay hydrated, especially if you're on a road trip. So it's also something you can look into, is having luggage, you know, maybe some trail mix and water. But what I'd like to start with, you know, when you're around town, there's some things that you might not consider. Oftentimes, you know, you'll be in traffic. If you can't see somebody like their face in the side view mirror, you're probably in their blind spot. Just go ahead and blast on past or fall back, whatever the case may be. But get out of the blind spot. That's a dangerous place to be. Red light, green light. So when the light goes green, give it a little split second, you know, because that jackass might be flying through the side there, running the red light. Not a good thing. So yeah, so maybe it's your first bike. Maybe you're like, you know, a newbie. These are just kind of the things to keep in the back of your mind. Super important, believe it or not. Might seem boring, but stay alive. You can also consider getting certified, just making sure you have all the confidence you should have when you're out on a bike, out there in the wild. And along with that, you know, it's really just, it's kind of like, you know, you just want to feel it, you know, you don't want to be staring down at your controls, looking at how fast you're going or whatever. You just get out there, get a feel for your bike. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. Don't overthink it. And it's really just something that comes with time. You know, you build some confidence and more abilities just being out there. You know, you got to get out there and get a little bit dirty. You're not going to learn how to ride a bike watching YouTube videos. Choose the right bike for you, okay? If it's, you know, your first time, you don't want to be out there on a 1200 Hayabusa with an extended swing arm.
1300.
1300 Hayabusa. Neither one good for a first bike. Hydrate. Right. Pick the bike that's right for you. Keep it moving. All right. Dress for the crash, okay? When you're a new rider, you might not want to be out there in your thong and your wife beater and your flip-flops, all right? That comes later when you got it all dialed in and you're at one with your machine. Until then, you know, full face helmet, gloves, jacket, be smart. Later on, you can get all fancy and wear t-shirts. Right. Don't get cocky, okay? A couple years in, you're feeling it, you got control. You just never know what can happen, right? It's a cautious fun, okay? Situational awareness. Expect the unexpected, all right? You know, you're coming home from the bar, you had a fun night, it's beautiful out. You don't want to hug a deer at 70 miles an hour, okay? That would be bad. So just expect what could happen, still enjoy the ride, get home in one piece. Maybe last but not least, you know, the motorcycling community is pretty awesome. We're all super supportive and we're always happy to encourage new riders. You can always learn something from somebody and you kind of learn something new every day. So don't be afraid to ask questions, reach out to some local folks in your community and get up with a group and, you know, have a good time. That's what it's all about. Everybody was new at some point, right? So, and last but not least, you might be, you know, super awesome, capable of doing rad tricks, but yeah, don't be this guy. That's not good. You don't want to go to that kind of yard sale. That's a wrap, folks. Be safe out there. Peace.
Okay guys, so this is the part where we get to shameless plug, and
Yay.
Typically we have an item that we pimp out that somebody gave us for free. So We're doing it a little bit differently because we did get some round black objects to put on the R6 here from Continental Tires. And our buddy Brad is the marketing...
I do marketing for them.
Very nicely put. So Brad Bailey does marketing for Continental Tires. So I thought, rather than just us waffling on about a free set of tires on my track bike, we would have Brad come on and talk a little bit about Continental Tires, because they not only do motorcycle tires, you do cars and bicycles, and you do some very, very cool marketing things. So Brad Bailey, who is here representing Continental on our shameless plug about our tires.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But giving you tires, that was like no brainer. And we were really excited because you got the new Sport Attack 4s, which is a really exciting tire that we've just released. And I'm sure people are going to hear more about that in the future. But yeah, it's been an interesting ride, and we're actually excited about all the projects you're doing and want to see how they work out on somebody who's experienced on a bike like you are.
Sport Attack 4s.
Fantastic tire. It's next level technology tire. Basically, we keep putting more and more things in there. Grip, you name it, it's got it. This tire especially is really exciting because it's one of the big changes in evolutions of new technologies. One thing we were talking about a while back is our bicycle tires, and we have a thing called black chili compound, silicon compound that, basically it's the stuff that goes into making the wonderful things and the grip and all that fun stuff. This has some of the same technology that goes into our bicycle tires. So it's an example of some technology from bicycle moving into motorcycle. And what's really exciting is for the hypersport segment, this tire is going to, pretty much blow everybody's socks off. And we're really excited about just seeing how it's going to work with you and your bike and your restoration, and see how it turns out.
Quick question. Tire warmers not needed?
No.
I mean, quicker to warm up than stuff from the past?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, no, I mean, it's one less complication when you go to the track.
Exactly.
Some people like tire warmers. I mean, they are something else you have to do. So the black round stuff's fun, but you're a bit of a marketing whiz, and you do a lot of really cool stuff with the graphics for Continental. So perhaps just speak to the viewers a little bit about what you do, and then we'll actually show some of your work on the screen as you're telling us what you do, because this stuff is really, really cool. I mean, I'm always fascinated by marketing and different things.
Well, no, the world's changed a lot, so we've been, obviously, just like everybody else, we're not out and about as much as we used to be, so content's a little bit difficult to come by because you really can't be a lot of places. So we've been having a lot of fun experimenting with new things in the last several months, and trying to basically retread some old content, but then also put things out to re-explore some of the great things that have happened in the past. So there's a lot of motion graphics that we've been playing with. You take a picture, you basically make it move. Try to take a perfect moment. And that's what my passion is with a lot of the online stuff is you take a photograph, you got video, and video moves, and everybody can see the video moving. But what's really fun is when you can take that photograph for that instant moment that you think is just actually spectacular, and then bring it to life, and then have it still sit there in time. And that's pretty much what we've been experimenting a lot with. We've done some of those for a lot of the pictures you sent over, so I'm hoping you get to see those. And it's just a way to basically give something to somebody online. People don't like to spend a lot of time looking, scrolling like that. So you got to catch their attention as fast as possible. And if
no one's listening to this on YouTube because
it's done.
It's past 3 seconds, right?
Exactly. Done. So you got to make sure that it's instant, to the point, and people see it, and then like and move on. So you could spend 16 hours making something beautiful, and they could basically swipe it away in 2 seconds, and then of course you're crushed. So I focus on motion graphics and trying to bring pictures to life, because at least it makes me happy. So hopefully it makes everybody else happy.
And I got to say, when I met Brad and we started talking about this here, and he showed me some of the work he'd done, I thought this is really, really cool stuff, because we're all in this business now. How do you get people's attention? And you are one of the oldest tire manufacturers.
Yep.
Been around for a lot of years.
Yep, 1871. So we're coming up on our 150th anniversary.
You look great.
Yeah, I know. I mean, retread. Back to that again. No, things are, the company's been around a long time. A lot of tradition there, a lot of things that, stay the same, because consistency is a big part of the brand. Being a consistent tire manufacturer and other parts of the company since 1871, you can't beat that. So people like me can't come in and change everything because it's, it works. So there's no point in doing that. But with the COVID and the changes there has been a lot more experimenting with how to get the message out in non-traditional ways. And that's been fun.
Do you think a lot of people don't know that Continental does bicycle tires as well? Or do you think there's a lot of cross-pollination between?
Well, it's interesting, you run into that. I mean, I don't come from the tire world, and when I came to work for it, I had to learn all about tires myself. I mean, just trying to figure out, sizes. It's like, hey, I bought a bike. Oh yeah, it's got a tire on it. So a lot of people, are in the world of bicycles and in the world of motorcycles especially, you have enthusiasts. Cars, you go and buy a car and you want a good tire, and Conti makes a great tire. You are going to find brand enthusiasts with Continental on motorcycle tires and on bicycle tires. And when they're enthusiasts, they're crazy enthusiasts. They talk about it, they tag it, they post it, it's the second coming. So those types of folks are the ones that actually sell our tires for us more than us. Hey, I love my tire. It's got all this great stuff, which 90% of us don't understand. But for somebody such as yourself who, this is what you do, and you understand how to lean a bike and what it takes, what a, compound is and what that technology is, you basically, what you say about it means more to Joe Sixpack than what I say about it. So it's the brand enthusiasm that really sells the message and gets the word out there.
Excellent. So you have your marketing, but you also have your enthusiasts. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited, Brad, that you came on. I mean, can't wait to get out and try the tires. That's going to be a bit of a highlight. So you've got a few things to finish the bike, and I hope you guys enjoyed looking at some of the work that you do and learning a little bit about the company, because basically all my bikes are on Continental tires. I mean, we did Sport Attack 2s.
Enthusiast. See?
So, and I've been with you guys for a long time, so it's great to have you on.
Thank you so much.
Brad Bailey, who is here representing Continental Tires Marketing, and he is our first live Shameless Plug.
Hey.
Greetings, I'm Nate, and this is Get Off My Lawn. Earlier in this episode, you may have heard Basil talking about rider safety. I want to expand on this a little bit in my own way. Why in the hell would you ever get on not only a motorcycle, but any two-wheel conveyance wearing flip-flops and shorts? I mean, are you a freaking idiot? You're just asking for the worst to happen, which is already gonna happen anyway. Okay? Just like he said earlier, dress for the crash, not the ride. You hear that all the time. Clever, but it's true. Okay? How do you think your flesh is going to stand up at 30 miles an hour directly on pavement? I mean, seriously, do you think about that when you get on your bike? Judging by the amount of idiots I see doing stuff like that, I'm thinking you don't. But here's why it pisses me off. Because your dumbass makes me pay more in insurance. Okay? That's the only problem I have. You want to go out there and skin your ass up? Get free tattoos? Have at it. Just don't get insurance and don't report it though. Okay? That didn't make a lot of sense. But I digress. Listen, Sally Skingraph, put on some pants, okay? Some closed-toed shoes, maybe a full-face helmet, and I don't know, gloves? I mean, what kind of work? What do you really think you're doing? You're in a high power-to-weight ratio vehicle, riding around looking like you're going to the beach. That's just stupid. All right. Thanks for listening. Get out there and put some stuff on your ass. Get off my lawn.
Episode 4. That's a wrap.
Yeah.
What a great episode. Thank you guys for watching. We had a lot of really cool stuff tonight.
Yeah.
We really did. I miss Get Off My Lawn. Was it epic?
It was epic. Yeah, you'll have to check it out and subscribe yourself.
I will. I would subscribe to that.
Yeah.
And we learned safety.
We did.
Safety.
Yeah.
Yep.
How not to be a nitwit.
None of this on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
What, you can't have leg hair on a motorcycle? And we saw the super epic Bill Stevens BSA.
Oh, I mean, and Nate has done a lot of work on that
Yeah.
bike.
yeah.
Missed
Really enjoyed
meticulous.
it. And, met Frank Neale, who he probably spoke about through that
A
process.
little bit,
too.
yeah. We should just say Frank Deal is Classic Cycle Works,
Yeah,
stick on the
yeah.
door, and he's the guy that Bill had taken his BSA to. for
New
Bullet.
Yes.
Continental.
Continental-
Thank you,
Road
Continental.
Attack 4s. Come and get them.
Continental guy was great.
Yeah.
Really talented, super nice
Yep.
guy.
Big up to those guys for
Big
the
up for
support.
the tires and coming out to hang out with us.
Yeah.
It must be
Yeah.
arduous. I started crying when he was leaving.
So thank you for watching. Please subscribe and stay tuned for the next one.
Much better, guys. That was awesome.
What a band of nitwits. Thank you guys.
That's what the show should be. Have at it. Just don't get insurance and don't report it though. Okay? That didn't make a lot of sense.